Aquarius, welcome to my channel, House of Fortune and Roses. So I'd like to quickly announce that I have personal readings available finally. You can book a personal reading with me if you choose. The link to my Etsy shop is in the description box below, as well as on my homepage. Also, before we begin, if you could just take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, share if this video resonates with you, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, I do have to state a very quick disclaimer that all my tarot readings, content, and videos are ultimately for entertainment purposes only. I see both tarot and astrology as just ways to get to know yourself better. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get straight into your reading. Aquarius, what do we have for you guys? So I'm going to quickly pull an oracle card as an overall overarching theme for you guys. Okay, so we have moonbeams and we have focus. Interesting. Okay, so it's kind of like this energy of zooming out, okay, and seeing the bigger picture is what I'm getting for you guys. Let's get further into this, shall we? So we have the Nine of Swords. This card keeps coming out in like every reading, I swear, especially for the fixed signs. So if you guys have other fixed placements, fixed signs being Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, or Leo, definitely check them out, because I'm getting like an overarching sort of thing going on for all the fixed signs. But here we have the Nine of Swords, so we do have a little bit of overthinking, maybe stress right now, or maybe it is the holidays, so I'm getting that some of you guys are just feeling a little maybe overwhelmed. I know Aquarians, you guys tend to be this interesting, it's like you're defined by this interesting dichotomy of being introverted but also being extroverted as well, depending on, you know, how you feel that day, or, you know, what your intentions are, what your goals are. Okay, and then we have the Ace of Cups. Wow, really contrasting energy, beautiful. So it's like this energy of feeling good, like emotionally, which I know a lot of Aquarians, well, it depends on your other placements, but a lot of Aquarians aren't really used to being in their feels. Like, they're not super, like, you guys aren't known for being, like, super, super emotional people. Like, that's not, I wouldn't say that's the first thing that describes you. But I do see you feeling very inspired by your environment. You guys aren't a water sign, but you are the water bear. And I see something to do with you almost feeling extremely inspired by your environment is what I'm getting. And it kind of sheds light on seeing the bigger picture. Also, something to do with shedding light on how you want to be seen and perceived by others, which I know Aquarians, that's not too important for you guys. You guys kind of march to the beat of your own drum. You are very individualistic people usually. Especially if you have Aquarius anywhere in your Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, or Jupiter sign. You guys are very unique individuals, like almost like the unicorns of the zodiac. And so you don't usually typically care too much about what other people think of you. But I'm getting, for some reason, something happening in your environment, especially after a period of feeling a bit stressed out. Maybe even because it's the holidays, like getting together with people that you care about, like family and friends. Something inspiring here in your environment that just makes you feel fulfilled and kind of pushes you into the right direction. But definitely inspiring. Let's get more into this. So we also have the Seven of Cups. Is this the Seven of Cups? Yeah. Okay, so we have the Seven of Cups. So this is about a period of sort of slumber, right? Of feeling dormant for quite a while. For feeling a little bit, I don't want to say invisible, but a little bit like yeah, you've been kind of under the radar for a while. And so that's why this is all the more interesting. And then we have the Knight of Swords, which has literally been appearing in like every fixed sign video. But yeah, I see you guys changing course on something. Changing course on a stressful situation. But it's not actually that stressful, because I see the Ace of Cups and the Seven of Cups for you guys. I'm getting that it's something to do with long-awaited dream, like something that you've always wanted to do, that you're finally actioning on here. Okay, and then we have the Ace of Wands. Wow, we have two aces. We have Ace of Cups and Ace of Wands. So this is beautiful. Interesting. So yeah, from these cards alone, I'm definitely getting that you guys had been possibly feeling stressed out and a little bit detached from yourself for a while, due to feeling like you were suppressing your dreams, suppressing your freedom, suppressing your true identity maybe. And you will be pushed to zoom out, okay? See the big picture when it comes to, what do I want to be known for? How do I want to be perceived by the world? Which is not typically a question that Aquarians ask themselves too often. I'd say that's often more like a Leo thing, which is like, you know, the opposite sign across from you, from the zodiac, or on the zodiac wheel. But you guys are actually, you know, questioning, like, how do I want to be seen by the world? Like, how do I want to see myself is one thing that's like really calling out here. And that's something that you're going to be finally asking yourself, finding the answer, coming to terms with, and then taking action on, depending on that answer. And bottom of the deck, we have the Emperor. Yeah, that is so fitting, okay? So fitting because Pluto is entering your sign. You're like the chosen ones of like the next 20 years, basically. But within the next few years, you'll be noticing some small changes, maybe even big changes. But for a lot of you guys, steady, small. But the Emperor, when I look at this, I think of some aspects of Pluto, actually, that signifies power, authority. Some of you guys, it's like you are being thrust into the limelight, the spotlight, and I know you guys aren't super comfortable with being in that role, right? That's once again more of a Leo thing, usually Leo being your opposite sign. But there's definitely something to do with this whole everything happening here, aligning with your dreams anyway, like what you've always wanted to do. And suddenly it's like you find yourself asking yourself, like, maybe this is what I want to be known for. Like, I don't mind being perceived this way, as either like a leader, representing some kind of a cause, or maybe even an organization, maybe even you're embodying something, okay, for the collective even, and you're not really used to doing this. For some of you guys, this could even be as simple as you know, joining a nonprofit, okay, starting a new job maybe, and you are given a leadership position shortly after you join. This could even go for a company, you know, whatever it may be. It could even have to do with your physicality. It's like something inspires you to break out of almost like a slumber that you've been in for the past few years now. It's almost been like this subconscious feeling of like something is lying dormant, but it's lying dormant for now, almost like hibernating, right? And it will be ready, whatever this is within you, to come out of the cave after a long dormant slumber, especially starting somewhere in mid-January, or, you know, from the time you click on this video, within the next year or so, few years, especially. It's almost like an evolutionary phase where you're going to start, actually seeing yourself in a different light. And I think people are also going to be seeing you differently as well. Like maybe a lot of you guys, you're not used to being in the spotlight. You're not really known as the person who, you know, finds yourself in that situation. But definitely within the next year or so, I see you guys getting more comfortable with the spotlight. Maybe even you are completely transforming, like, literally your physical appearance. And I just want to caution you against, like, drastic cosmetic procedures. Just be careful with that. Because we've all seen, you know, celebrity mishaps, like when they get too much plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery procedures and it just looks really weird. I mean, maybe that's what you want to go for. I don't know. But to be honest, some of you guys, you are transforming. In fact, Aquarians, it's predicted, forecasted astrologically within the next 20 years that you guys are going to be the ones to really transform the most and also lead the way for the collective to transform society in some way, shape, or form. But you guys, especially if you're Aquarius risings, you will be feeling inspired to once again transform not just your identity, but even, like I said, your appearance. I don't know, when I look at this spread, why when I look at this spread, this looks so much like Daenerys' story in Game of Thrones, like Khaleesi. I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with Game of Thrones, but she is a descendant of the Targaryens. And, you know, especially with this, like, wandering this desert, it's reminding me of, like, when she was with the Dothraki horde. Okay, well, I don't want to get into too many details, but basically, yeah, I mean, she kind of felt this inner calling at one point after going through a lot of hardships where she really had to, like, question who she was and, you know, conquering all kinds of hardships. You know, in Game of Thrones, literally, Daenerys, like, she had, I think it was like her child was taken away, or she had to, like, I don't want to get into details, but yeah, it's sad. Okay, her husband was murdered. Okay, and at first it was like, you know, she wasn't super into him. Later on, like, she fell in love with him, things like that. She was kind of sold as like a commodity by her family into marriage as like a political pun. But that is obviously not going to be the situation with you, because this is modern times and outside of a fantasy novel. But nevertheless, okay, I see like this, almost like a similar theme. I mean, we literally have like this desert, we have this dragon, we have like this situation with this, on a horse. So yeah, I mean, I see you guys kind of almost going through like a similar journey of awakening. At one point, like I said, people aren't going to be able to recognize you a few years down the line. You may just end up looking completely different from what you look now, embodying fully, evolving, basically, embodying like some kind of a cause, maybe, or just something bigger than yourself, where you are kind of thrust into a place of leadership, like I said, or of power, okay? Because Pluto does represent power. It also represents symbolizes darkness, okay, the hidden things, transformation, renewal. And when Pluto is in Aquarius, oftentimes it predicts revolutions. Like the last time Pluto was in Aquarius, it was sometime in the 1800s where there were multiple revolutions going on. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. It may even be more along the lines of, my guess is like technology, like some kind of technological revolution of some kind, like with AI, or some kind of, it's almost like a parallel situation with the Industrial Revolution, actually. But I do strongly see that you're going to be standing up for others. You're going to start seeing bits and pieces of that, okay, in mid-January or within the next few months, give or take. And, you know, if you just really want to get down to earth, some of you guys, you might just be trying out different looks, you know. Maybe you'll open up a new Instagram account where you have like this different image that's like really, really Aquarian, you know, like more Aquarian than what you normally are as an Aquarius. Like maybe like this really funky hair, like different color hair, or like just something like you're trying out some kind of a look that's like different. People are gonna start noticing you. Also like Plutonian, right, which is like a more of a like a scorpionic energy, not in the way that it's like a Martian scorpionic energy, but more Plutonian, so like darker, more like psychic, like more intuitive, powerful, right? Which is like a different kind of scorpionic energy. But some of you guys, you're really going to be like stepping into that energy. Like maybe you're even wearing more black, or, you know, as simple as you're being given like more leadership opportunities, or people start looking to you for direction. Some of you guys, you might end up being nominated into a form of leadership and promoted, like at work or even in your community, or some kind of like social environments that you're a part of. And some of you guys, you may even be forced into a transformation that you're not ready for. But the good news is that you have a choice to step into the transformation voluntarily. And Pluto is not an easy transit. Pluto is one of the most transformative transits, where you could be taken to the top, all the way to the top, and then knocked down, depending on how you play your cards. And the advice for every Aquarius, or anybody with Aquarius and their sun, rising, Venus, Jupiter, anywhere in their chart, is anywhere along your journey, if ever somebody approaches you, right, despite like all the accolades, and you get to, let's say, a position of some kind of leadership, or people look up to you, maybe even you develop a social media following, where you're known to represent a certain image, and you know, you find yourself in the spotlight, which Aquarians, I don't know, it's kind of like, I know it's like a love-hate situation for you guys to find yourself in the spot, you know, in a spotlighted position, role. But I am seeing here that if ever along your journey, if somebody approaches you and offers you something that is almost like, you know, Rumpelstiltskin, or like, it's kind of like likened to a deal with the devil, right? Like figuratively, where somebody's like, hey, like, you know, I have a shortcut that you can take. Why don't you follow me? Or I can like show you this other way of doing things that's going to make your life so much easier. But it's like there's this caveat, and the caveat is that it's a little bit illegal, or, you know, there's some consequences to it that you don't want to suffer, but only if you get caught, right? So anything of that sort, right? Or anything where you notice that you're doing something that could even be considered, I want to say, taboo, or, well, not necessarily taboo, but I want to say like unethical, you know, or immoral by, quote unquote, by societal standards. You really just want to be careful with that, especially if you are an Aquarius sun or rising, or even Jupiter. So especially if you're Aquarius sun, rising, or Jupiter, just really be careful of taking those kind of shortcuts of, you know, people approaching you with like little deals that, you know, like under the table things. You know, people, basically just anything, especially nowadays, anything that can get you canceled, which is literally, I mean, it's a mixed bag, like those situations, but just really be careful. But I do see, once again, to sum this up, basically, the beginnings of you transforming into a new, almost identity, after a period of being dormant and kind of suppressing your creativity. Maybe like you've been feeling almost like an inner need to transform. You don't really know why. Well, the answer is it's literally in your stars. It's literally like written in your stars, as they say. So yeah, I mean, some of you guys have been feeling almost like called to transform, called to look at things from a bird's eye view, like a zoomed out perspective, big picture thinking. Like you are encouraged right now to delve into the big picture. Like don't think small, because this is just the beginning or a preview of what could be, what can happen, what will likely happen in the next 2 decades or so. And I'm not saying this applies to all Aquarians, but quite a lot of you, especially if you're Aquarius rising, sun, Jupiter, especially for rising, you guys will see like little inklings of what's going to happen when it comes to these transformations of your identity, how you're seen in the world, maybe even your appearance. You guys might be changing something about your appearance, but I would just caution you to not do anything too drastic. Just be careful with that, because Pluto especially, it's a very, like I said, like it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's also really makes you susceptible to Rumpelstiltskin type people, entities who will approach you, right, with these like deals, like, hey, like I can give you this if you give me your firstborn child, or, you know, like these, well, not literally like you're gonna like hand over your child, but you know what I mean, like just those things that you're like, oh, okay, like I don't think they really mean that. Well, later it's gonna come back, right, to ask you to pay up, basically. So Pluto can be dark, right? It's like a dark energy, but it's also transformative. It's also powerful. It also helps you become more in tune, especially if you're an Aquarius rising, with your external environment, almost like a Scorpio. And, you know, Scorpios in their evolved states, that's the energy of Pluto, which means that they're intuitive, like psychic, like especially Pluto, you know, has that Scorpio instinct, right? Like those vibes. So instinctive comes to mind. Although that's more like a Martian trait, but it can also be a Plutonian trait if it's like instinctive in terms of like intuition, right? Almost like you notice like undercurrents or like certain things underneath the surface so much more clearly than maybe the people around you, especially more than the collective. And you don't want to reveal all of these things, obviously, to everyone. Like, that's another piece of advice that I want to give is kind of holding your cards close to your chest until you know that it's safe to reveal, okay, certain things, whether that's, you know, something that you're inspired by, where you want to take your life, how you want to transform. These are things that you want to kind of keep close, okay? Especially now, it's early. In a few years, you know, let's talk then, like things might be different. But I do see here that, yeah, you guys there's going to be a lot more attention put on you guys, especially starting next year, but especially within the next few years. So like, let's say 1 to 3 years, like the eyes are going to be on you. Sometimes they will be judgmental. Some people will admire you. But this is huge. Definitely coming up for a lot of Aquarians, especially Aquarius rising, and like I said, sun, or even Jupiter, but especially rising and sun Aquarians. You guys, people may have like a love-hate reaction to you. Like, if you were to become a public figure of some kind, like either on social media or maybe even in your community or even at work, like you're promoted, let's say, to like senior management or something, it's not going to be like one of those situations where everyone just kind of feels neutral towards you when you're in the spotlight. Pluto is more so an energy when it transits your sign of being in the spotlight. Yeah, a lot of eyes are on you, but at the same time, there's like this love-hate sort of thing going on where some people are gonna love you, especially for your charisma. I don't know why that's coming through. Charisma keeps coming through. Like, it's like you're building your charisma. And that's a big part of what's going on in the next few years for you. Where through the transformation of your identity, your goals, your aspirations, all of those things, it's really the evolution of your charisma and how you will be perceived in the spotlight is what I'm seeing for a lot of you Aquarians. And I'm also seeing here that just as a, you know, caution, some people are not going to accept certain things about you. But that's, you know, right, anybody in the public eye. Like, even if you look at celebrities, just anyone really around you, but especially, you know, celebrities or people in the public eye or politicians or what have you, not everyone's going to like you, right? I mean, that's just something that is a reality of being a human, right? Just any kind of human. Some people are going to like you, some people are going to dislike you. But when Pluto transits your sign, it's like a more drastic sort of a thing, where some people will absolutely almost like worship you in a way, or worship something that you represent at least, or the image that you project, okay? And some people are just absolutely going to be repulsed by whatever you're representing or putting out. And but I'm saying here, don't let that bother you, because like I said, Pluto, that's just how it works. Also, Pluto, it's almost like Saturn, kind of similar to Saturn in a way, where, you know, Saturn puts you through hardships for a really long time, a lot of lessons. It's almost like I liken it to climbing a mountain that takes you years to climb. With Pluto, it's kind of similar in that way, where you're put through lots of trials and tribulations, but in the end, you have that opportunity to have a lot of power, a lot of knowing, a lot of influence, and even transform, you know, others, transform yourself, transform others in a way that kind of ripples out into society, even if it's just your community, your school, your workplace, your field, like whatever field you're in or whatever you're passionate about. Like, for example, you know, like, this is just an example, if you're into pottery, you could become that person that is known as the, artisan who is the expert on pottery, and some people love your work and some people hate it, that kind of thing. And you become like the leading authority on pottery, and like the whole world knows you for pottery, or at least like, the people around you, your community, those in your environment, whatever it is, just something, it doesn't have to be pottery. It can be pretty much anything. And for a lot of Aquarians, it's going to be bigger than pottery, right? It's going to be, like I said, some of you guys, you might even want to look up clips of Daenerys from Game of Thrones, because like this whole energy, like some of you guys, you may even be, just like her in the fact that you're leading some kind of social movement. This doesn't apply to all of you guys, but for quite a few of you guys, you will be surprised to be kind of almost like thrust into a situation where you will be at the forefront of some kind of social movement. And it's not in the way, it's not like Leo where you're like a celebrity and, lights, camera, action, and paparazzi kind of thing. This is more like an Aquarian sort of spotlight, where your influence, people may love you or hate you, but your influence spreads far and wide, because Aquarius in the tarot is represented by the star card. It's like that shining star in the sky, and whether, like I said, people love you or hate you, like your influence is so, it's just so strong in the collective that even long after some of you guys are gone from this world, we don't want to think too far ahead, but some of you may even be remembered as being a leader at the forefront of some kind of social movement or some form of revolution. Those of you guys who work in technology, especially, those of you guys who work in the field of AI or some kind of field that is kind of intertwined with the AI movement, I would say that you guys may even be the ones to really I don't know, it's still a mystery, obviously, right? Like, astrology, it's like an outline. It gives you an outline of what could be, but it doesn't give you all the details. And so it's going to be different for a lot of people as well. So it's up to individuals to fill in those blank spaces. And like I said, it's going to differ for very different people, because we're all very different individuals with different backgrounds and experiences, and also mindsets and ways of life. So here we have Justice. So between the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Cups, I see that you are going to be in a very liberated situation where you're breaking free of this sort of like stressful situation. I don't know why I'm seeing like almost a feeling of destitution. It's just maybe even some of you guys are going through dark night of the soul, which wouldn't be surprising given Pluto does that to people. Like, it puts you through, like, really sometimes when Pluto transits your placements, transits certain people's placements, it really like knocks you down to the lowest of lows, even, or even like rock bottom, in order for you to build back up, where you may even be stronger, and not, maybe nobody can knock you down again after that, because of everything that you learned and how much you've evolved through that experience. That's what I think of when I think of Pluto. It's a bit less, I would say, like a slow, steady build like Saturn, but Pluto also moves very slowly. So, but it's a different kind of energy, right? It's more like if Saturn is a ticking clock, ticking away, or the energy of a goat slowly climbing a mountain. Then Pluto, I would say, is more so like the energy of, I want to say, like earthquakes almost. Like sometimes they're small earthquakes, like small scale, sometimes they're huge earthquakes. I don't know, that's what I think of when I think of Pluto, or even like, I think of like a butterfly like breaking out of its cocoon, and that whole period of time that it was a caterpillar in the cocoon, it's been going through, you know, it's been evolving. The caterpillar has been evolving, building itself into a butterfly and transforming over time, and then it's able to break out of the shell, which is the cocoon. And here I see, yeah, that, look at this. I mean, this is literally, looks like almost like a butterfly, or like literally like a bird, like flying towards what looks like freedom and also balance. Justice is also represented by, or is also the card of Libra. So yeah, justice. Some of you guys, you might have been falsely accused of something. This doesn't have to be, you know, something as, you know, drastic as illegal things, or but you know, somebody might have falsely accused you of something, or you're feeling judged maybe, or you have been feeling judged for a while. I see you getting an opportunity, some kind of support or something like a lifeline, where you're able to be pulled out of this murky water, murky situation, maybe even allies coming in, okay? One in particular, maybe a very powerful ally. Actually, this is another theme for you guys, Aquarians, in the next couple decades is, you know, powerful people. Like, you find yourself meeting them almost unintentionally, like just in random situations where we literally have this imagery of a dragon, which is why it's reminding me of Daenerys once again in Game of Thrones, where, you know, she was helpless and she's been through so many trials and tribulations, and evolved though as an individual, and then she discovers dragons, dragon eggs, and then she's able to, you know, the dragon is a big part of her, I guess it's like a very powerful tool, and companion, but very powerful tool in warfare, in that series. But I don't want to get too much into Game of Thrones because it is like a fantasy novel, and it's not going to apply to everyone, obviously. But yeah, I mean, you guys are, maybe even some of you guys are going through a divorce. Some of you guys, you are maybe going through a situation at work with HR. Like, for example, this doesn't have to be like a tyrannical boss. This could even be flipped, where you're the boss and some employee is pointing fingers at you and accusing you of being, I don't know, like abusive or something, and you're just like, what the F are you talking about? Like, it's just a complete falsehood, or just a false accusation, like you're basically being slandered. I am seeing here that justice is coming your way. You're going to be liberated from the situation. You will gain allies. Maybe sometimes this can, like I said, indicate powerful people in the right places, that you just happen to know, maybe through a friend, through a family member, through a partner. It's like, actually, you know, somebody that you're close to might even tell you, like, wait a second, like, I actually know so-and-so, and maybe they can help you. And it's just like that small window of hope, right? That comes along at the right time, or something like that. But I am seeing here, whatever you're going through right now, some of you guys, you might be in the thick of it. I'm seeing with Moonbeam's focus, it's very important for you to zoom out and look at the big picture, whatever's going on, because your future isn't just about what's going on currently, or like the small details. So don't fret over small details is what I'm getting. But like I said, as a caution, as a precaution, just be careful of people who have that Rumpelstiltskin energy, you know, where they're like, hey, you know, I can give you this, or, you know, like the troll under the bridge, like, I can give you this if you give me, you know, in the future, like, you come back and like give me you know, XYZ, which is just, and you like brush it off thinking like, no, like, it's not going to affect me in the future. And, you know, it comes back to haunt you, like that kind of thing. Just avoid those situations. I'm also, for some reason, thinking of that movie, The Red Shoes. I don't know if you guys have seen The Red Shoes, but it's kind of an old movie about a ballerina. And she has these red ballet slippers. And basically, though, the premise is her dream is to be a world famous ballerina, and so she is willing to sacrifice anything. And the kind of Rumpelstiltskin sort of archetype in this story was her, I believe it was the owner of the ballet company, or the production company, or ballet company, or something like that. And he basically tries to isolate her into basically throwing herself into the role as a ballerina. And so she sacrifices her sanity in the end. She sacrifices love, like pushes away her boyfriend, the pianist, just, you know, all kinds of things. And in the end, you know, she ends up, well, I don't want to give you the ending because that's too much of a spoiler, but basically the moral of the story is she doesn't end up in a great place. But the moral of the story, like, be careful of people who approach you, who ask you to sacrifice a lot more than you're willing to give. Like, even at the time you might think, oh, that's not a big deal. Like, yeah, like I can do that. No, think again, because whatever they're asking, maybe even, you know, it could even give you that feeling of like, wow, like you're willing to give me all of that for just this, you know, like they're only asking for this one little thing, like your signature on a piece of paper. And it's like, I can give you, you know, this one thing that you've always wanted if you just sign this little piece of paper. Don't do it. Okay. If it feels off, then listen to your instinct. Some of you guys are going to be very intuitive anyway, right? You're actually going to start realizing that you are an intuitive person, or those aspects of yourself that are intuitive. Aquarians, you guys are known to have psychic downloads pretty often, but it's kind of more like in that sense where it's like spacey and kind of out there, and like you predict the future like 100 years from now kind of a thing. That's like the Aquarian form of, like, I guess, forecasting or predicting the future, or being an oracle of sorts. But you know, with Pluto, it's definitely a different kind of intuition, where it's more like instinctual, like I said, like the evolved version of Scorpio kind of energy, where you're more psychic, you're more in tune with the energies around you. You might even be tempted to be kind of manipulative of people around you, because you start finding yourself being really good at sussing out people's motives and intentions, and what they're truly feeling on the inside, or what they're truly thinking on the inside, almost to the point where you're tempted to manipulate these people around you, almost like a puppet master. But that's another thing. You don't ever want to be, you know, to that point where you're corrupt enough to be a puppet master. I mean, obviously, you know, that's like, I guess, one aspect of being in a powerful place, is you start taking on those kind of traits. But just with Pluto, once again, almost like Saturn, because you know how Saturn, like along your journey, if you ever try to take shortcuts or cheat or anything like that, like Saturn puts you in your place, and you know, your journey gets prolonged. That's what some people think. But with Pluto, yeah, it's like Pluto tests you. It's like, can you withstand all of those temptations that are going to be thrown your way? You know, like just sign on the dotted line, like those kind of things. Or, you know, if you just sign this little contract, you can have all of this. Like your salary is gonna be like this big, you know, and just sign this you know, and it's something, yeah, it's suspicious, right? Well, it's suspicious for a reason, and I would say listen to yourself. So here we have the Lovers. So with the Lovers, between the Seven of Cups and the Knight of Swords, some of you guys, there's two sides to this energy. So some of you guys are going to be ending certain partnerships, okay, with people, with entities that are no longer serving you, which is a big theme coming up in general for many people. But with you in particular, I'm getting that this is going to serve you more than others. And on the other side of this spectrum, I'm seeing that for some of you guys, this is going to be entering into certain agreements or contracts with new entities, maybe even entering into a new romantic relationship, a new partnership, a new contract, a new job, right? Any kind of agreement where it will be favorable for you, and it could even be the beginning of your upward trajectory into this place of authority, or having maybe even more power than you're used to. So I'm just saying, prepare yourself. And also be wary of situations with Pluto. I have to warn you guys, be wary of situations where people either try to gaslight you, which is feeding you or trying to brainwash you into thinking that you are something that you're not, trying to scapegoat you, trying to use you, like exploit you, okay, those things. But obviously you're going to be more intuitive, and I think listening to yourself more, so that's always important. But also, yeah, avoid situations where people try to make you feel small, right? To make themselves feel bigger or larger than life. I don't know why. Because Pluto, there are a lot of power struggles with Pluto. So some of you guys, just be prepared to go through a lot of situations, right? In the next 2 decades or so. I mean, I know that's a really long time. It doesn't have to be like all the time. Like suddenly it's like, oh, power struggles like every week. No. This is more like maybe every year, every few months, even every several months, I don't know. You do see yourself in power struggles a lot more, and these things can impact your life a lot more heavily than they normally do. If you were to find yourself in those situations in the past or compared to that. And then here we have the moon. So we have the moonbeams, we have focus, and then we have the moon again. To clarify the Ace of Wands and the Emperor. So this is just confirming to me, with the Ace of Wands and the Emperor, with the moon, that some of you guys, you don't even know how much energy, vitality, power that you are evolving into. Like, you have no idea. Like, some of you guys, you don't even see yourself as maybe even a leader or somebody that people admire when it comes to those things, or maybe you don't see yourself as charismatic. But I keep hearing charisma, like over and over, charisma, especially for Aquarius. It's like an era where you are empowered in a way that many people like you in the past, in history, even if you really want to zoom out. Speaking of zooming out, like big picture, it's almost like you are, I don't want to say avenging, that sounds too dark, but more so like making up for maybe people who were like you in the past, who might have been suppressed, or I don't know, like wronged, or like their voices were maybe like snuffed out or something. I know it's kind of dark, but you know, stay with me because we're talking about Pluto here. It's like one of the most darkest but also most powerful transits. But with, yeah, like I see you're kind of entering, like some astrologers have likened it to Aquarians entering their revenge era within the next 2 decades. It also kind of reminds me of Princess Diana, because that whole theme around Princess Diana, I don't know if you guys are familiar. You might want to just quickly like look up, her story if you're not familiar. But she, with her wearing her like revenge dress, which is actually like a black dress, little black dress. It's called her revenge dress. Almost getting kind of like that, like in her case, I mean, she was basically kind of used to breed, heirs, and then she was kind of kicked out, right, of the royal family, and so there was this famous moment where she wore a little black dress, and then journalists, they called it her revenge dress, where she was ready to just be liberated from the situation. Like, she didn't care anymore what other people thought of her. She was just like, I'm just gonna get mine, and she had that sort of rebellious spirit. Princess Diana was an Aquarius moon, and they tend to have this sort of energy where it's just rebellious, like, I don't care what other people think, and it's always like deep within inside them usually, and even if they suppress it and people around them suppress this energy, which I liken to like a shining bright light, which is represented by the star in the tarot, it's like only a matter of time before it starts to peek out, like the light within an Aquarius starts to peek out and shine light on many things to a great many people, because Aquarians, for some reason, you guys have this ability to influence large groups throughout history. Many Aquarians, they just have that innate ability. Like, it's something that many of them, not all, because the sun, I think it's actually not in its fall, but it's not in a comfortable place in Aquarius. So it's not going to apply to all of you guys, but for a lot of Aquarians, yeah, for some reason they have this ability to impact like groups of people, especially through social media. Like people, for instance, there have been some YouTube stars. A lot of them have their Jupiter sign in Aquarius. This is one of those things. And in the age of social media, I think it blows it up even more, like that kind of environment. But yeah, I'm getting here basically, I don't want to say go into the next 2 decades thinking, oh, it's my revenge time now, like I don't want to like push you towards that dark mindset. But also I do want to say, don't be afraid to step into being empowered, as well as you're going to be surrounded by a lot of powerful people or entities that are going to be attracted to you more. I would say just get used to it. Like, get used to being in those situations, navigating those social situations. And like I said, the big thing, caveat, is to be careful of those Rumpelstiltskin type entities who are like, you can have everything that you want, just sign this on this dotted line, right? Just really be careful of that, as well as those kind of things where it's like, hey, you can make like a ton of money doing this little thing. Like, I can show you how to do this, but and it's fine. Like, you're probably never gonna get caught. Like, nobody ever gets caught doing this. Yeah, don't fall into that temptation. Okay. Oh my gosh, Aquarius, don't do it. Okay, that's all I gotta say. But because it will come back to haunt you, maybe even topple you from everything that you've built, because that's Pluto. So just really be careful of that. But yeah, with the Emperor, this is you. This is your energy. A lot of you guys having the power to reach heights that something you might, yeah, like I said, you might have never envisioned yourself like this on a throne of some kind, like not like a physical throne, but yeah, like figuratively or metaphysically speaking. And then we have this Ace of Wands that talks about these opportunities that come in intermittently, that gives you the chance to grab hold of opportunities. Don't be afraid of that either. Positive opportunities, right? Not the kind of like shady, sort of illegal kind of things, temptations, right? And also another thing that astrology says for when Pluto transits your sign, Aquarius, is be cautious to not step on other people. I mean, that's, I guess, a subjective term. Like, if somebody's, you know, trying to bring you down, or, you know, they're being confrontational with you, then that's, you know, something else. But if this is just literally like an innocent, you know, person that you know, people that you know, and you're ever tempted to step over them in a way that's seen as unethical or even immoral by societal standards, it's a warning to don't, right? Just don't do it. Like, if you have the option not to, just really don't. Because like I said, like, Pluto is all about the energy that tests you to see if you are navigating your way to power or influence or what have you, you know? Transformation, while being like a karmically, I guess, just balanced person. I'm going to say balance is key. And also, I think Pluto oftentimes tests whether or not you are tempted to be corrupted, or it will tempt you with corruption. You will, I think it is going to be one of those situations where a lot of times Aquarians, you would even say that they are the least prone to corruption compared to a lot of the other signs. But for some reason, yeah, I'm being nudged intuitively to warn you, okay, in particular when it comes to corruption of any kind. And also, don't worry, Aquarius, you will get there. Eventually, you're going to know what there is, especially within the next year or 1 to 3 years or so. I think you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about when you maybe come back to this reading. For some of you guys, you're going to get there regardless. You don't have to step over other people. You don't have to shove anyone into the road. Kind of dark, but you know what I'm getting at. You don't have to sign like really shady contracts, right, with people, or like Rumpelstiltskin type people, or archetypes, or do shady things, illegal things to get to where you want to go. So it's really just, yeah, warning you against those things. And then here we have quickly, I think this came up in another reading that I did recently. So we have this rabbit, pick up the pace so you catch the wave. Yeah, Aquarians, you guys are already known to be quite innovative individuals. Innovative and also ahead of your time, right? Like, you're literally the archetype that you'll like write something down like, oh, I think this is gonna happen, and then it does happen exactly as you said. Like, all the details are true in like 100 years later. Kind of like those authors, right, that write novels out of the blue and everything comes true. It's almost like a prediction of the future, and that's just how their minds, their creativity, it's wired to churn out these kind of predictions. And there's just some people who are like that, and I know a lot of Aquarians that are like that as well, who have that energy. That's how they're wired. So yeah, with quickly I'm getting, don't be afraid to embrace change, okay? The only thing guaranteed in life is change. And also, the more you fight transformation, the more you fight change, the more it's going to slow you down when it comes to your upward trajectory, your evolution. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, Pluto and Aquarius in the past, it had to do with revolutions. But at the same time, okay, this is about to fall out. At the same time, nowadays, because we are living in modern times, people have predicted a lot of revolutions when it comes to the AI or technological revolutions, where things start, you know, maybe even kind of teeter-tottering on the edge of becoming dystopian even. But like I said, a lot of Aquarians, you guys are going to be involved in these things. Not all of you, but some of you will be. Yeah. According to astrology, at least, whether you believe in it or not is a different thing. But yeah, some of you guys, you might end up finding yourselves in situations where you are privy to especially secrets, because Pluto is also about secrets. So privy to a lot of these secrets when it comes to maybe even AI. Like if you guys work in technology or STEM, right? Like STEM fields, knowing secrets. Some of you guys, you might have even throughout your life been privy to certain secrets like this. And it's just like hints, right, of what's to come. Maybe even a few years back. I want to say around like 5 years or so ago. Look back to what you were doing 5 years ago. You might have gotten a glimpse of these sort of like secrets just being revealed to you, and you don't know what to do with it. You're like, this is, yeah, especially those of you guys who've worked in corporate situations, even just any kind of organizational setting or group setting, like, yeah, being privy to secrets, and you feel a little uncomfortable, you don't know what to do with it. But that's another thing, and that's also another choice to make, especially if you've ever been privy to certain secrets that reveal corruption within an organization. That is likely to happen within the next 2 decades. Like I said, for not all of you, but you know, a good amount of Aquarians out there are going to find themselves in these situations, and the advice is to do, I don't want to say like just do the right thing, because I mean that's such a generic thing, and also what's right is subjective, because I don't think that all, I guess, societal rules are necessarily objective, or like when it comes to certain things that are seen as unethical and immoral, I mean that's subjective depending on what society or even what country you live in. Like it can be totally different. So I don't want to just say do the right thing, because that's like very generic, and it's going to be different for a lot of you guys. But I do see, just follow your instinct when it comes to what should I do about this. Like I'm suddenly finding this ball that's thrown to me that I accidentally caught or unintentionally caught, or I had no choice to catch this ball. And that little ball is either power, influence, like I said, secrets that could potentially compromise an organization or like a big corporate entity, whatever it is. And you're like, oh God, I have this now. Like, I don't know what to do with it. Follow your instinct. Just, also, I know this is a little bit woo-woo, but you might want to connect with the stars, because Aquarians, you guys have a special, oftentimes you might not even know it, but you have a special connection to the stars, especially to the night sky, to astrology, especially since Aquarius is a sign of the astrologer. So look towards your instinct, your intuition that comes from a place of fairness, balance, and also it's okay to rely on astrology. Astrology can be, you know, a good guide for a lot of people. What's in the stars, and also connecting with the stars, even if that's just taking a break to, you know, sit under the stars. Sometimes, you know, it's okay, right? In the next 2 decades, it might even be helpful for some of you Aquarians to talk to the stars. Maybe not like literally sitting down and having like a verbal conversation, but, you know, just kind of questioning things, you know, and they might actually respond back, like not literally, but you know what I mean? Like you will start feeling something possibly, because like I said, you guys do have a connection to stars, to the stars, to the night sky, to space oftentimes. And especially within the next 2 decades, you guys are going to start feeling, maybe you might even see star imagery. You might start seeing a lot of scorpionic, Plutonian imagery, themes, which is, I don't know, for some reason, when I think of Pluto personified, I think of people wearing black suits. But nowadays, you know, what is considered powerful doesn't necessarily embody the image of just like black suits and like, you know, the traditional sort of, I want to say Capricornian sort of archetype of being powerful. It could even be, I mean, like, for instance, look at Mark Zuckerberg. He is quite powerful, but he's not wearing a black suit. He wears hoodies like every day. So that's what I'm saying. Like, power is going to look different, okay, to a lot of different people. I mean, it's going to be different for a lot of different people. But you might start seeing themes of power, maybe even, yeah, like the black suit imagery, or, yeah, certain things like transformative imagery, butterflies, okay, revolution, the color black. I don't know why that it does come through. Also mystery, secrets, what's hidden, corruption, especially learning from corruption, okay, that maybe led to people's downfalls in the past, historically speaking. Scandals, okay, that's another Plutonian concept. Just be ready, okay? And like I said, this isn't going to be like every day of your life, like you're exposed to these things, but you know what I mean. Also, temptation, okay? Like I said, hidden secrets, temptation, transformation, renewal, like all of these things. Okay, so this fell out forever ago. So we have taking steps. Action is key to getting where you need to go. You can't wait around. Take a step in any direction to get unstuck and find opportunities. So yeah, when I look at this shoe, this also kind of reminds me of Pluto for some reason. It's like high heels with the black, and then like the entire shoe is like made of gold. Like there's just something very like powerful about this imagery. I'm also seeing some of you guys might be gifted new shoes. You might buy yourself a pair of new shoes. It just feels symbolic for some reason. Someone might even let you borrow their shoes. I don't know, there's something about shoes, stepping into new shoes. That's like a big theme here. A huge theme actually for the next 20 or so years. Taking steps, right, towards the right direction. You might get some clues that navigate you. And when I look at this card, it's literally like a person on this journey, on this long journey, wandering, but they're following, I don't know why, I kind of get that they're like following the moonbeams, focusing on the moonbeams, on this goal. And I don't know why I'm also hearing, you will get a lot of distractions thrown your way. It reminds me of the Odyssey. You know, the sailors, they were lured by all kinds of temptations. You know, their ultimate goal was to get home, was to get back home, but they were tempted by, they were tempted by sirens. Some of them died. You know, at one point, I think Odysseus the main character ended up on an island where he was bewitched And also, I don't know why I think of like lotus eaters, like I think it was called like the land of the lotus eaters or something like that, where, yeah, the whole point of that was, the theme of that was distraction, was, distracting somebody from their goal, which was to get home, right? And, you know, one wrong turn, it's almost like, yeah, like you're on a journey, right? On this long open road, and you are trying to get to this goal. But then you get to like a stop in the road, and somebody's like, hey, like, let's, why don't you stick around? Like, there's a casino nearby, you know, you can, go to the casino, have some fun, you know, gamble a little bit, you know, do some addictive things at this place. And it's just not a good idea. Because you may end up actually spending a lot more time there than you intended. Just be aware of people trying to distract you from your goal, especially if this is like a soul calling intuitively where you know you need to go, a goal that you know that you're meant to achieve, and you're like looking straight at it. Keep looking at it. Keep your eye on this goal, because there's going to be a lot of distractions thrown your way, a lot of people trying to distract you, trying to maybe even prevent you from reaching this goal. Not like a direct kind of opposition where they're like, no, you can't do this, but I'm talking about Plutonian concepts, where they kind of try to tempt you a little bit, influence you little by little, manipulate you. Manipulation is a big Plutonian theme as well. Or they're like, hey, let's do this, you know, like talking in your ear, you know, like a tempting, kind of like a snake, like whispering in your ear or something. But you don't, you know, to you, it's like temptation. It's not really like you even identify this person as somebody who could potentially be harmful in any way. But, you know, what they say, like the devil appears to you in many disguises, even unsuspecting image or appearances. Like, just be aware. I don't necessarily believe in the concept of a devil, but the archetype, yeah, I mean, it definitely exists. I mean, like Rumpelstiltskin, for instance, the red shoes, like all of those things. Yeah, just be aware of situations that it's like it almost puts you metaphysically or figuratively in a situation where it's like you're being tempted to sell your soul. Just be careful of that, you guys. But otherwise, yeah, I see opportunities, like literally stepping into these powerful shoes. You will have way more opportunities to do this than any other sign coming up ahead in the next 2 years or so, where you're not only offered these shoes, but you're offered them on a silver platter. And it's not going to be free. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of tests, a lot of sometimes even ups and downs, like people judging you. Some people, like I said, some people are going to love you, some people are going to hate you, like that sort of thing. But don't be afraid of this transformation. And if you have a goal that you know is a soul calling, or you really are deep down in your heart of hearts meant to achieve, then focus on that goal. Don't lose sight of that goal, because like I said, there will be people who will try to distract you, is what I'm getting. And this may, like I said, come in all kinds of forms, unsuspecting forms. But in the end, a lot of this does have to do with, you know, for a lot of you guys, this goal is going to have to do with something that you're passionate about, like a cause, a movement, especially those of you guys who work in technology, or like you're interested in maybe even like politics or something, or maybe you're in a leadership role now in your community or at work, or any kind of, like, some of you guys, you might even be like an influencer and you have like a pretty big following, right? It can really be anything. But I'm getting here, yeah, don't lose sight of your calling, because this is ultimately what I think Pluto wants to push a lot of Aquarians towards, is this soul calling, this intuitive nudge towards leading, I want to say, the collective towards renewal, positive renewal. And we really want to emphasize renewal in its positive form, like when it's parallel with bettering humanity, you know, what's best for, I guess, the collective good, or our species, literally, as humans. Like, that's the kind of thing that we want to strive for. You don't want to, that's the only way I'm intuiting that you guys will be able to be successful, is by focusing on those things instead of falling into temptation, because you will be tempted. You will definitely be tempted. Okay, so, that was a long reading, you guys. This was way more in-depth than I was planning, but these were all the messages that I was being channeled, so I really didn't want to hold back, especially for my Aquarians, with the big Pluto transit in Aquarius for the next 2 decades. This is a big thing, huge astrological event. It's not something that's like small or like happens every month, or even every few years. Yeah, I mean, I think Pluto hasn't been in Aquarius since the 1800s. So yeah, this is a pretty big transit, you guys. And a lot of, another thing is it won't return, I think, for the rest of our lifetimes. So it's kind of like one of those situations where, yeah, I mean, it really will depend on the choices that you make. And 20 years seems like a really long time, but it can go by like that. And so really ask yourself as an Aquarius, like, what do I want to leave behind after I'm gone? What kind of, not just the way you're perceived, but like legacy in terms of maybe the way you influenced those around you, whether it be in a big or small way. So these are just some things to consider. Okay, so like, comment, subscribe, share if this video resonated with you guys, Aquarians. My wonderful Aquarians. And also, I do want to remind you that I finally have personal readings available, and the link to my Etsy shop is in the description box below. So if you want to book a personal reading with me, check out my Etsy shop. Also, I have a link to my Etsy shop on my homepage as well. So I will see you guys later, Aquarius. Good luck, as usual. Love and light.